Grace named her son.
Is there a ring here?
Greg's dad.
Are you going?
Greg. His dad's name is Fred.
Y'all got the dessert first. Greg, great job. I heard you last year, but you're better this year. Real good. Y'all probably be bored with me, but I want to back up. I want to back up 210 years ago. 210 years ago, my great-grandfather, and most of yours great-great-great-grandfather, George Washington Wren, was born in North Carolina. And he married my great-grandmother, Sarah Bridges Wren, who was born in 1812. Anyway, they moved to Louisiana in 1846. G.L.P. Wren, which is my grandfather, and Dorsey Wren, which is his brother, which is some of your great-great-great-grandfather, were born, and great-grandpa Wren sent them back to Georgia for a college education in 1855. Emory University in 1855.
Sure.
I've got the diplomas of G.L.P. Wren, all three diplomas. He went 4 years, never returned home. He got 3 degrees, one in education, he got a master's in education, and he got a law degree. And Dorsey Wren got a doctor's degree. And they stayed 4 years in Georgia, never came home in 4 years. But anyway, they came back, and when he came back, Dorsey went to Arkansas to practice being a doctor. And G.L.P. Wren taught school. He couldn't make a living on the law, and he taught school. He loved teaching. But anyway, that's your ancestors that I feel fairly close to. George Washington Wren is buried. When he moved to Louisiana, he settled down below Minden. He bought 400 acres of land, and he had some slaves. And the year before last, I won't go into the story, but I had a black man that came to see me, and he wanted to find some Wrens who had slaves before the Civil War in Sibley, Louisiana. I said, that's my great-grandfather. And he had slaves there. But anyway, the cemetery's down there. Maybe a few of you went when we went down there. Gay and I restored that cemetery because it had been knocked down, and the tombstone was knocked down and restored and built a new tombstone. We spent several $1,000s putting a fence around the tombstone. But that's where your great-great-grandfather came from. But anyway, now I want to get off the subject a little bit. I'd like to say that you young folks, and I told this to my grandkids lately, life is made up, the most important thing in your life, whether you like it or not, is God. Amen. God is the most important thing in your life. The next thing in your life, and a lot of people won't like this, but yourself. Whether you like it or not, if somebody calls your name, the conversation is going to call you, you'll hear it just like that. But the next thing, the third thing, is your family. Starting with your wife and down. Now, I'd like to say to any of you young people that are not married, do like I always said, do like I did and my grandpa did, when you marry, upgrade. Get you an asset and not a liability. Now you may take that as funny. You may take that funny, but that's the most important thing besides loving God that you'll ever do, is to marry. But anyway, I would like to say here, I do have with me my son Stuart and his wife Joni. They live at Longview. And I wouldn't be here today if Stuart didn't pick me up and bring me over, because I got macular degeneration and I'm blind. But I've been a blessed man in my life. But next on saying, I want to say Wren Dupree and his wife Rita. Wren is nearly my age, but his mother was my first cousin, Inez Wren. And her Inez's daddy was my uncle. But of the GLP Wren, there were 16 grandchildren. I'm the only one still living. And the reason that Grandpa Wren, GLP Wren, was 33 when he got married. My daddy was 44 when he got married. So we lost a generation in there against the Dawson Wren heirs. A complete generation. We lost it because of the age limit. But anyway, I've been extremely blessed man. God blessed me, and I pray many nights. I thank God for my grandparents. Both sides of my family, I had good Christian grandparents. I won't tell you about my mother's side of the family, don't have time, but that's an interesting story. But Grandpa Wren came up and he taught school. He went to the Civil War. I recently got an award to the Daughters of American Confederacy. They gave me a Civil War because I served in World War II, and my grandpa served in the Confederate Army, and they gave me a lovely pen, nice pen, and one of my daughters-in-law framed it for me, and I got it on the wall. But anyway, we go back to the Civil War. The Wren family, I am really, really, really proud of the Wren family. And I've told all of my kids and grandkids, don't mess the name of the Wrens up. The Wrens got a good, upstanding name. Don't mess it up. But the Wrens are a good family, and I am proud of them. I'm proud to be associated with the Dawson Wren. I'm going to call it the Dawson Wren because you got a good many in there, a good many families. But anyway, I think we are blessed, really blessed, if we come from good inheritance. Don't you think that's right, Wren?
Yeah.
If you got good inheritance, you got a step on 2 or 3 steps on other people. But don't never forget, we all owe everything we got to God. We're thinking today what a wonderful world we live in, how beautiful it is, and how nice it is. We're thankful also to have kin folks would host us and bring us here to this nice place. And I thank you. Give my hand. Real good. But the Wren family has got a great name, and it goes back a long way. In fact, they got another daughter-in-law that traces all back to the grandfather of Sir Christopher Wren.
Right.
Back in the 1500s. But the Wrens have a good name and a good history. We've had a few black sheep, but everybody said that. But thank goodness, we've had most good, upstanding people. But I am proud to be a Wren, and I'm proud that I've been raised, and my daddy, he upgraded. He got a good woman. And I'm proud of my wife, and she was a good woman. And in fact, I lost my wife a little over a year ago. And we lacked 6 weeks, getting 60 years. So I was real fortunate there. But anyway, life is good, and it's good what we make it. And I'd like to say also to you young folks, life is what you make out of it, not what the government can give you that so many people want. Life is what you make out of it. And you're a Wren. If you don't have a job, create a job.
Amen.
Don't go around and say, what's going to give me? Create a job. But anyway, we are so blessed to live in the greatest land. I thank God. God chose Israel for his land, but I think he chose Israel before the United States was formed. I think when the United States was formed, God said, that's going to be my chosen land. But I'm amazed at the United States of America. I fought in World War II. I would like to say that I went into the Army in 1944. I was late going in, but I went in and I fought the Japanese. I slept in the foxhole. I got so scared I had to chatter my teeth so loud, and the Japs were so close to me I had to hold my mouth open to keep the teeth from the Japs from hearing it. But when they dropped the atomic bomb, when MacArthur signed the peace treaty on the Missouri into Tokyo Bay, the next day, the very next day, I was on Japan liberating prisoners. And that was a real heartwarming thing. See, those poor people, you could count every rib in the body. They had nothing but a pair of pants on. Every rib in the body, they were starved to death. But anyway, I'm lucky to have that, and I was born in 1924. You can figure up how long that is. I'm probably the oldest one here. And I plan to be here 10 more years yet. But anyway, I'm lucky. I've got had great aunts and uncles. But the Wren side of the family had a bunch of kids. I said it was 16 grandkids, but they weren't very productive. Wren's family here, he had was four of them, and I believe there's only two first cousins. Two of them were on that. So they didn't, out of four kids, he only had two grandchildren. But, and so forth, and my Uncle Lubbock didn't have any. But my daddy, Marcus Wren, I'm a junior, Marcus Wren, and his brother Lubbock Wren lived in Mount Louisiana, and they got together one day and said, we need to get the Wren family together. And we need to get the Arkansas Wrens down with us. We need to get Uncle Dorset, the family, to come down here. In the late 1930s, I don't know exactly, 36, 7, 8, we're the first Wren family, and I got a write-up on that family. I mean, that reunion. The first Wren family was held at Mount Louisiana at Kenny Lake. And a bunch of the Arkansas Wrens came. That's what started the Wren reunion. I'm sorry to say that the Louisiana Wrens haven't been as good as y'all have, and to kind of keep it together. We don't have too many of us, but anyway, we still got a few of us, but anyway, I am happy to be here and so forth and so on. I don't think I need to talk too long because Greg did a great job of it. I can't tell you too much about your family. I can tell you a lot about mine, but you know, you don't need to know too much about them, but they're good people too. Thank you.